Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is December 16th. It's Wealth Wednesday. I am excited to be here as your host today. So we've got some great training today. So let's get to it. Our quote of the day today is, "Change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice." Bob Proctor. If you haven't marked your calendars yet, make sure you do so. We've got our national conference coming up March 18th through the 20th, 3 full days of awesome training that you don't want to miss. We are going to be meeting online for our 2021 national conference. The theme is shifting higher into focused transformation. We have our leaders retreat dates. We're going to be going to Mexico, August 13th through the 17th, 2021. Really excited to see you all there. Every Monday, we have our Founders Live at 4 p.m. Make sure you are present for that. Lots of important announcements there, some great recognition, and some fantastic training. On the Generally Speaking video just this morning with Bob Snyder, he talked about Super Saturdays and the importance behind making sure that you're building properly for that, setting proper expectations. I thought that was a great video. And just this weekend, we had a great intensive, and then coming up this weekend on the 19th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. we have our Super Saturday. You absolutely want to be there. We have Yaz and Umair Haq out of Washington, D.C. They are really killing it in both the marketing and the real estate side of this business. We're going to be talking all marketing on Super Saturday, so make sure you are present. It's going to be a lot of fun. They have a lot of great wisdom to share with us. Every week, every Thursday, we have our weekly private capital masterclass. Daine Clark is the person facilitating that. He's had quite a bit of success with building private capital for his business. And so make sure that you are watching your classes and bringing your questions and conversations to this masterclass. That's every Thursday at 6 p.m. Also, we have our daily real estate action mastermind, the Dream Call, every day, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9:45. And we have our fabulous Friday morning, every Friday with Lily Puertas from 8 to 9. And then every day Monday through Friday at noon for just about 15 to 20 minutes, we have a Zoom up call where people are sharing their stories with their success with Renatus. So this is a really powerful exposure for you to get your guests in front of. If they're not able to make the live meeting at noon, then you can send them the recordings. We have a whole playlist on our YouTube channel of at least 40 videos of different stories from around the nation of people reaching success with their Renatus business. If you haven't already, make sure that you check out oesoes.com. It's just a little website that was put together that talks about what the OES is, the importance behind it, and why you want to be a part of it. Last week's house tour, we did an awesome virtual house tour. Every Wednesday we meet for our house tour. Jared Brenchley presented his flip. He did a great job. The purchase price on that property is $190,000, and he's all in for $260,000, including the rehab and all the holding costs, the money costs. The ARV is $300,000, so Jared is looking at a potential net profit of $40,000 without using any of his own money or credit to get into the deal. So congratulations, Jared. Super exciting. Here is our list of weekly reoccurring events that we have going on. Keep in mind, next week, of course, is Christmas, so they're going to be a little bit different. I'll make sure to get this updated for next week. But as of this week, we've got our Tuesday Profits intro at 12:30. Wanda Carrasquillo has been doing that presentation, so thank you, Wanda, for doing that for us. Every Wednesday, as I just mentioned, we have our house tour that's offered in English. And then we have an AIT bonus track study group offered in Spanish. That's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Every Thursday, we have our house tour offered in Spanish. We've got a Pillars of Wealth intro presentation that's offered in English. Everything else on the list here is English. Follow-up and funding webinar. We have our onboarding session for new students as well as guests. We have an Essentials Mastermind for our essential students looking to upgrade. And then we have three real estate study groups: multifamily, wholesaling, and short-term rental. If you'd like to catch these recordings, you can find them on Facebook. We have a private Facebook page, Renatus Team Elevate, where you can find all of these recordings. And then we also have our YouTube channel where I just mentioned we've got the Zoom up calls posted there, as well as these morning trainings. So take advantage of those two resources there. Today, we get to learn from Daine Clark. Every Wednesday, Daine spends an hour with us to go over what's working for him in his business. And he also is so good at checking in with us to see how he can help us with our businesses. I'm so grateful for that. Daine came from, well, he's been involved with Renatus for about 5 years now. And so before Renatus, he was working 2 jobs. He was working for Apple and he was also a roofer. For Apple, typically you're out on the floor talking to customers, but not Daine. Daine was in the back. He was counting cell phones because he was actually pretty shy at the time. And then as a roofer, it wasn't really his cup of tea. He didn't like being in the sun all day with a fair skin and red hair. So he really needed to make something change. He was barely making ends meet at the time and started to look at other income opportunities. So he learned about real estate investing. He found Renatus, got plugged in, was watching his classes, and started to implement what he was learning and listen to his mentors. He was implementing first the velocity banking, where he used that as leverage to get into a duplex, where he lived in one side of the duplex and rented out the other side. We fast forward to today. Daine has completed now over 100 deals in just 5 years. He's also raised over $20 million from various investors to go towards his transactions. The secret behind that is consistency and frequency. He has also grown his team. So not only is he killing it on the real estate side, he is also a key leader on our marketing team. So he is on the PIT team in training to be on the PAC, the President's Advisory Council. So make sure you take good notes today. I'm excited for what Daine has to share with us. Good morning, Daine. How are you?
Good morning, Keely. Thank you so much for that intro, as always. Excited for today. We if you were on last week, we actually built some marketing material for everybody and said, hey, take this and go do that. So I'm excited to hear from that today. I did actually just let's see, actually after today, actually. So I'll report back. I'll report back next month on that one, but might be 21 million. Picking up 2 more properties. One of them's a cool one actually, where we're buying the house, turning around and selling it to somebody else on the same day. But that gentleman that's buying it from myself is putting $200,000 down on only a $460,000 purchase price. We're gonna buy it for $460, turn around and sell it for $460. No. Buy it for $460, turn around and sell it for $496 on the same day. And I'll just go get a 30-year mortgage. I just got quoted 3% interest and charging him 6.5. And so we'll be like better than a rental property, basically. So really cool deal. Using private money to purchase it, and then we'll use bank money to just go back and refinance. But so really cool deal. But you guys know the drill. Let's hear how things went for everybody, and if I can get every single person to chime in on the chat box right now and tell me how many people did you have a conversation with? Did you get to an intro? Did you get to an intensive? Let's see, what else? Profits intro, house tour, anything. Did you have a conversation with? Did you have a one-on-one with? Tell me how many people you communicated with in the last 7 days around real estate investing that turned into either talking about Renatus or saying like, hey, you should come and see this group. You should come and see one of the events that we're putting on. Yeah, and even if you had a goose egg this week, that's okay. Report it. You'll notice that if you get used to doing that every single week, if you get used to putting a number out there into the universe every single week, like, hey, here's what I did in the last 7 days, you will find, this is crazy how there's like science behind this, but you will find that each week you get better and you get better and you get better. It's a very interesting, I don't know, phenomenon. I don't know the science behind it, but by just being honest with yourself, how many conversations you're creating and or not, the honesty with yourself and the honesty in front of people is, I mean, it's weird. It creates more success, faster even. It's really cool. But anyway, so yeah, would love to hear from every single person if we can. I mean, I'm not to the point where I expect so much from you guys that if you don't report, I'm going to kick you out. I probably should though, because of how much I believe in this principle. But we'll be nice. We'll be nice. Love you guys. But yeah, we're here for your guys' success. So okay, let's go ahead and, well, man, we got a bunch of people already chimed in. Let's go down the list here. Let's see. Charles Beeson said he's got 1. Awesome morning to you as well. Ann has 1. Kim has 6. Esther has 5 guests at the intensive. 3 one-on-ones, 2 registered for the house tour. Bruce had a goose egg this week. Eric had 1 conversation. Lorene had 1 person to the intensive. Congrats. Jay Carrillo did have a goose egg. Thank you, brother, for being honest with all of us and yourself. David has 3. David Robinson had 3. David Solomon had a goose egg. Dan had 1. Is it Charbel had 6. Doug had 1. Let me know, Charbel, how I pronounce that. Sherry had a red goose egg. What's that?
You got my name right.
Yeah, Charbel, I got it right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Cool, thank you, sir. Gilda had 4 intro, one-on-one follow-ups, and 4 in the intensive. Teresa had 2. Jared Brenchley had 29. Congrats, brother. David had 2 intros and 1 follow-up. Scarlett had 3 guests for the intensive, 2 texts. Bobby Johnson had 7 and 4 people tonight for the property tour. Congrats. Where are they going tonight? Are they going down to one in Orem? Does anybody have the address to that yet? Jenna had 1 attended the house tour, 7 attended intensive, 3 follow-ups, 1 essential. 1 essentials entered last night. Congratulations, Jenna. 1 more being entered today. Ooh, that's awesome. Good for you. Killing it. Let's see. Deborah had 5 invites to intensive, 1 attended, 2 follow-ups. Sheldon had, let's see, well, I plan to make 20 follow-ups to re-engage past guests besides my new guests, and I managed to book 2 to 4 meetings a day. I've been doing that consistently since the 1st of November, and I won't stop until I reach my goal of 6 cash orders, 4 of them essentials, 2 extreme combos. I love it. Thank you, Sheldon. Amy and Eric had a goose egg. Eric's just started. Congratulations, brother. Welcome. Everybody give him a fist bump. Welcome to the team, Eric. You're going to love it here. We make money and we help each other and we talk about it. That's pretty much what this is. So it's interesting. I just talked to one of my family members. You know, one of the conversations that I had in the last 7 days was a family member, my wife's sister-in-law. So I guess my sister-in-law, twice removed or whatever they call that. So my wife's sister-in-law is a realtor. She's been a realtor for a lot of years. And we started talking about real estate. In fact, we started talking about this property that we're purchasing today, and then turning around and selling on the same day. And she started asking questions. And it's been really interesting to talk to family like that. I'm trying to remember why I was going here, why I thought about this conversation, but oh man, I forget. It'll come back to me though. But anyway, one of those conversations I had was with family, and it's been really cool because she's starting to ask all these questions, like, Daine, like what do you actually do? And we're gonna, in fact, what I've got prepared for us today, we're gonna talk about this. Where, well, I don't want to spoil it. I got a good one for you guys today. Laura had 35. Eric, brand new. That's right. That's where I was going with that. You'll notice, and this, my sister-in-law, she started asking a few questions, and we were talking about real estate deals, and she's like, Daine, I don't know how much you make, and I stopped her right there. I said, her name is August. I said, August, let me stop you right there. The circle that I come from, I'm talking about like this meeting even, to what we're doing right now. I say the circle that I am a part of, everybody shares what they do, how much they made because they did that, and how they can duplicate it, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, like we just made this much money on the deal. We talk about this at the beginning of this call every single week. Like, oh yeah, we went to Jared Brenchley's flip. He's gonna make 40 grand. And so it was interesting because there I was talking to my sister-in-law about just our culture, where people are like, yeah, like come and see this deal that we're buying, that we bought, and we're to turn around and flip this house and make 40 grand. And I was just like, get used, like if you want to come hang out with me, get used to that kind of culture where people will be so willing to share what they did to create the success that they got, how much money they made because of that. Like, Eric, you're going to love it, man. You're going to absolutely love it. So welcome to the team. Laura had 35, invited 15 to Saturday, follow up with 8 and 1 signing in January. Congratulations. Keely had about 12 conversations, 10 invites, 1 intensive and 0 one-on-ones. Congratulations. Nita had a goose egg. Sylvia, I got to get through this because we got to get started. Stanley, 2 property, 3 introduction. Let's see, Jody, 4 wanted to go into intensive, 4 declines, 50 invited. Steve Goosegg, Brian Goosegg, Laura Brown, 4 guests intended intensive, 1 follow-up. Mike White, 35 convos, 3 one-on-ones. Laura Black's deal tonight. Let's see, one ICM last week for Mike. So cool, awesome. Okay.
I was on
what's that, Mike?
list for sales last week. That's what that means.
Nice. Which one were you?
Number 1.
You were number 1? Dude, congrats, man. Bam, give me a fist bump right there. Yes, love it. Cool, dude, congratulations. That is so cool. Oh, it feels good, doesn't it? Makes you want to do that again, doesn't it? Yeah. Cool. Well, let's do this. Are you guys? I got something prepared for us, but I do want to make sure that I give you somebody the chance. Who here that had at least one conversation? Right. I'm going to start putting that criteria, that has had at least one conversation in the last 7 days, has a question, has an experience, has a, oh crap, that was deer in the headlights experience that needs some help. You know who you are. Go ahead and make sure your camera's on and come off of mute. Charbel, looks like you. Go ahead and come off of mute and ask a question that we might be able to help. Sometimes it's been interesting, right? And let me just say this real fast. It's been interesting to be in this 5 years now, and they call it the curse of knowledge. When you've been in something for long enough, you begin forgetting. You begin forgetting what it was like to be brand spanking new and getting going with this and getting started. And so this helps me to realize, like, oh my gosh, like you guys need to know this. And so I always want to have people asking those questions, because sometimes I forget. Sometimes anyway, you guys know what I'm saying there. So go ahead, Charbel. How can we help you, brother?
Yes, so how's everybody doing first? And thank you for the opportunity, Daine, to be in this amazing call. And my question is that I was basically doing an intro to one of the potential leads I have. Now I started, and it seems as we're going through the conversation, as we're going through the intro, he was interactive. It seems like he has done a few deals before. So we were going. As soon as we got to the prices, he started shifting. Now I kept going with the same excitement, with the same enthusiasm, but basically I took all this time and then introduced him to the information. And I don't know if I was able to handle the part with the prices right with him. So what would you recommend when it comes to this situation?
So did you have them watch like an intro?
No,
Well, here, let me go back. Let me do this. So, oh, Keely, can I share my screen?
so we want to join this one.
You should be able to share now.
All right, perfect. Cool, thank you. And, all right. So just so I can get my bearings real quick here, and let's see, iPad, okay. All right, so everybody should have their own, I call it like I guess kind of a personal funnel, right? But not like a funnel online. I'm talking like, for example, every time in a straight line, there we go. Every time in a straight line, I go from a lead that really starts from a conversation, or I create a conversation. Now conversations can be created from putting signs in the yard, or putting signs in the, stop signs, putting ads on YouTube or on Facebook, or talking to people, whatever it does, create that initial conversation that creates the intrigue. Okay. And then I'm just going to go through this real quick because I just want to get my bearings for where you're at with this person. Okay. From there, I like to get them to an introduction that drops price, that says, hey, here's how much it is. Right? I personally don't like to tell people how much it is. I like to let a meeting or an intro or a recorded intro, let them know that, hey, there's money involved here, there's value. Okay. And then from there, I like to sit down with people one-on-one. Sit down with them one-on-one. I call it the roadmap conversation. That's just my personal preference to say, hey, as soon as you've done these things, I want to sit down with you and let's build a let's build a roadmap of how you can get involved. I'll show you how I did it, how I got involved and went from where I was to where I am today. But this will be custom for you. We'll build your roadmap. Right, so that's kind of my process, and from there, last year it was easy. It was easy to go from one-on-one to order in. I feel like these days sometimes it takes a few more because these days it's my number one is a recorded intro. Is like the number one most popular thing that I've been doing. The second most popular is the live Zoom intro.
Is it your
but last year? Yes. Well, either mine or Michael Huggins, either one. But I've used a little bit of both. It depends on the person, because sometimes it's like, hey, this is me speaking, versus like, hey, let me show you a guy, and then you get third party credibility. But anyway, so anyway, this is the number one, my number one go-to, and then number two is the live Zoom on Thursday nights. However, last year it was a live in-person meeting that was my number one, and then the recorded intro was number two, and so it's flip-flopped a little bit. And I've noticed that people need a little extra exposure, and so instead of, and I'm gonna do this because you'll notice that if my system or your system seems like there's a broken piece, then you fix it, right? And so my fix on my new system, if you will, is I like to get them to another group meeting, like a house tour, like an intensive, like a, intensive only come around every so often, although we had like two weeks in a row, which was cool, but that doesn't always happen. So things like house tours, intensives, let's see, I like to let them do like a, what do I call that? Basically we talk about all the different things that go on a Thursday night, for example. And so they kind of get to see like, hey, we do this, we do this, we do this. And so and then they see all the people in there where, every single Thursday night we got hundreds spread across into all these different categories. And so I don't know if we call that the show and tell or something like that. The Facebook group, again, just all these extra things to show third party, fourth party, fifth party credibility, multiple people. And then from there, lately, I've been doing a second one-on-one. So this is the second one-on-one. And from there is where orders are placed. Okay, so this is, again, this is just my personal funnel, if you will, and I've had to put that little Band-Aid on it compared to last year because of what's been going on in the world. Okay, so let's see, who do I have off? It was Sharpel, right? Yes.
Sir.
So, all right, Charbel, sorry. So tell me more about this person. Right? Your system doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but what have they seen so far? Have they seen intros? Have they seen house tours? Have they seen intensives? Okay. And give me a little bit of a debriefing, whatever you want to call that.
Okay. That person basically saw the intro, but
Okay.
and that's the intro I did for him. Now, what he was telling me is he's the type of person that likes to learn. So he's always jumping from one webinar to another. Now, according to his story, he's a seasoned investor. I was going over the intro and over the different packages and classes we offer. And I started basically getting to know him better. Every time I go over a strategy, oh yeah, I've done one of those like probate, like short sales, fix and flips. So he was basically going over them. Now, I'm not really 100% if what he's saying is actually true. It might be. So yeah, that's
okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, let me know. It's almost as if when you start telling him what we've got and what we're offering, he kind of like puffs up his chest a little bit and he's like, oh yeah, done that. Oh yeah, good there. Like almost to the point where I don't want to say cocky, but a little prideful where he's like, I've had some people like, oh, I could teach that class. Oh, how many deals have you done? Oh, I've done 3. Oh, well, our instructor has made $1 million in this, but whatever. You don't want to get into that, whatever you're going to call that, fist fight like that. But am I picking up what you're putting down though? That he's just kind of like standing. So here's what I like to do in that phase. Okay. So if I've got my bearings right, you're sitting in the one-on-one and you're talking about this stuff and he's kind of like, oh, I'm too good for this. I actually will do this is a crazy pattern interrupt when I do this, that gets people to like, holy cow, and so, I don't know if the best thing for me to do would just be to role play, or just tell you about what I say. But in essence, when they start doing that, I like stop and I say, and I congratulate them. I say, dude, that is so cool, man. It sounds like, I'm probably going to have one heck of a time helping you because, it sounds like you got it made. Like, sounds like you have made millions of dollars with this already. You're already exactly where you want to be. And so I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I'm not even sure if I can help you. Like, is there anywhere that you want to go from here or, right? And so it's crazy. Most people don't do that. Most people don't like congratulate people. Like if I'm trying to create or make a deal with somebody and for me to start telling them like, dude, I don't think you even need me. that messes with their head a little bit. I shouldn't say messes with their head. That it pattern interrupts where their mindset is going, where they're just like, you know, like, no, I don't need this. No, I don't need this. No, I don't need this. And they say, well, dude, I don't think you need me, basically. And then they're just like, wait, what? You know, they kind of put this aside, and then they start getting more real, where they're like, well, actually, right? And so that's how I've done that before, where I've gotten people to say, well, really, here's where I want to go, right? Because at the end of the day, all you want to do is become a great detective. And this is so perfect. This is so perfect that you're bringing this up, actually, for what I wanted to share today, which I think I can basically get into that now. But that's what I'll usually do in that scenario. I'll pull it back and be like, and basically say, like, dude, it sounds like you don't even need me. You know, sounds like you could teach the class. You know, sounds like you've already made it to where you want to be, and there's nowhere higher to go. Am I right? Or is there somewhere that you want to go from here? Right? What's next from where you're at now to take yourself to the next level, right? And you talk about growth, because most people aren't going to be like, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm sad. You know, like, most people want to go. So, I mean, even after doing 100 deals, I'm just like, all right, now how can I figure out how to do 1,000? Right? Human nature is exactly that, where if we achieve something, we want to be like, all right, what's next? Right? But if they feel like they're being sold, then they're going to put that guard up a little bit. Anyway, I hope that helps. Did I create any more follow-up questions? Or do you feel like I helped you with that?
It's actually really helpful. Really helpful.
Cool.
Now, I also like the system you talked about, like the way you basically invite people to different meetings. Now, I have a question about that, though. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this process in total, do you do it within a week, within 2 weeks? How much time is your
average? I mean, last year, 3 weeks. This year, probably a little over a month, to be honest. Like, most people that make it all the way through this process, it probably takes about a month. And we have, and I try to get them at least one thing per week. If I can do more, I will do more, but I like to do at least one thing per week. So for example, like, maybe this is on a Tuesday, and then I send them the intro, and then we meet on a Thursday maybe. So we got 2 that week, but this was only like a 15-minute call, right? And so they watch this intro that's like 1.5 hours maybe, and then we meet on Thursday for about 1.5 hours, give or take. And then from Thursday, I schedule this one-on-one for like Monday of the following week, but they attended this in the meantime. Oh wait, no, because the house tours are on Wednesday. And so this might be like another Thursday again. And so there's a week apart from our one-on-one, but they got homework in between. To say, hey, go to this thing, or, oh, watch this other video, or go to the intensive, or, you know, whatever. And so there's that homework. And so oftentimes it looks about like that, where it's a week apart for those one-on-ones, and then there's some homework in between. And then from here, when they get the order in, and we go find, you know, basically the steps after the order is we create the account. Basically make a login for them inside of Renatus. And at that point, they could go through and sign and figure that out. But usually they don't have the money right off the bat. And so we have to go find the money. And so we make a find money plan. And then from there, during the find money plan, I say, all right, as soon as we find the money, then we need to unlock education. Right, and I actually write this out for them. I love to do this on an iPad, or on a napkin, or on a piece of paper, you know, whatever. I like to write this out for them, and email it to them afterwards, or send them home with that piece of paper and say, all right, here's where we're going. as soon as we find that money plan, or as soon as the money plan works and we find the money with Unlock Education, then the first thing that I want to do is sit down and have our launch session. Right, this will probably be the most, right, listen closely. This is exactly what I say as I'm going through with people. This will probably be the most important meeting that we have, because this will be like that first initial, you've unlocked your education, we're getting things started. So we're gonna sit down in that, we're gonna set goals, we're gonna sit down and figure out exactly what you want and when you want it. We'll build out a time frame based on your liking, and I'll get you, basically oriented into our culture so that you start feeling like a part of the team, so you can go achieve this as fast as you want to go. And in this session, my goal is to line out a plan so that you can feel like I'm always one step ahead of you. Because if I can stay one step ahead of you at all times, you can go as fast as you want, and I will never have to be your bottleneck. Fair enough? Right? And then they're like, yeah, okay, cool. Right? And so in reality, this is the reason this is the most important session is because they actually have started at that point. They have actually put their credit cards into Renatus, and they have started that process, because now I can give them homework. I can say, all right, now watch this. In fact, here, I just got a text message last night from somebody that I did this with, I think it was last month, Tyrell. So check this out. And shame on me, I forgot to add him to my email list. But he says, tonight we are finishing the last class in the second phase. In other words, his AIT. And from here on out, we'll be starting to come to the meetings, right? And so when I sat down with Tyrell, in fact, here, let's check up on him and see how well he did accountability-wise. Let's see if I can just search him in here. And bam, look, this is beauty to my eyes. Look at this. He has busted through his education. And so he has watched, this is essentials in October, and he did most of phase 2 or most of his AIT stuff that we sat down and built his plan in November. And it sounds like they are just wrapping up some of these other ones now that we're into December, right? And so he's gotten himself very educated, right? I can see Keely going, oh my gosh, right? But when you sit down like that and you say, all right, here's what we're gonna do. And we sit down in that session and we talk about the importance of their roadmap. This is not just a sales tactic. This is setting them up for success. When you have that launch session right after they put their cards in, to say, all right, here's what we're gonna do. And I don't care if they buy essentials, I don't care if they buy the whole combo, I do this. Because if they do, look what happens. Let's say this person only bought essentials, but I still sat down and we built their custom roadmap to say, hey, you wanna watch all these. What's he gonna do as soon as he has this done? He's going to be like, what's next, Daine? Oh, looks like I need to get this. And I have legit had people call me and say, hey, I'm done. I'm ready for that phase 2 that we put together. And it looks like I don't have access to it. And so then we set a meeting and they bring $18,000 to unlock the rest, right? Because I set them up for success in that launch session. Okay, and if anybody wants access to that spreadsheet, you just go to DaineClark.com/tracker. And you guys can build your own. Just click the button that says, I think, use template, something like that. And you can download it and make a copy for yourself if you want. And that's ultimately what I do for myself. Like I have my own I built that for myself to track my own education. And so I can see it all in one place. And then I just started using that for my students. And so you guys are all welcome to to take that, use it for yourself, as well as when you bring in a student and you do that launch session, right? And I will sell it. I will be like, again, this is the most important meeting that we will have, because this is what's going to set you up for success. Just like Tyrell, I just showed you, where he's busted through that education because we set the stage right. And he's just like, all right, I'm ready, right? And he's already looking at properties and putting money together. And oh, awesome. And then there's yet one more story that I can tell. If you help people create stories, you will have enough leads. You will have more leads than you know what to do with, right? So that launch session, get good at that for yourself and for others. All right, sit down and do that for yourself. I mean, notice that this is it's a multi-part system in here, where I say we build up our template week, and so he goes through and fills out this automated. I shouldn't say automated. This what do you call that? Dynamic, interactive worksheet for his own goals of what he wants, and he commits. I will spend 16 hours per week. Right now, you know why he has busted through so much education in the last couple of months. And I don't think he's actually done all 16 hours. Let's see, maybe. I would guess no, but that's where he set the goal. And that's what he reported to me that I would, and I make him sign it, e-sign, of course. I make him sign it. I will put in 16 hours a week. We're going to bust it. And he did, right? And he's already made a list of names, right? Setting him up for success. Absolutely. Okay, cool. I hope that helped. 8:50. Okay.
A couple of questions came up
think,
while you were going through that. I don't know if you have time for that or.
Go ahead. No,
So
this is for you guys.
Laura Jones asked, what do you do when you've had conversations with people, spent time with them, following up, etc.? People say that they've researched Renatus and they've read the reviews and they say no thanks because of what they saw online. She's had this happen to her 3 times and she's only been doing this for about 2 weeks properly.
That's a tough one. In fact, Bill called me about that one, and sorry, Laura, I forgot to mention that on the call last week. It's a tough one because Google can go, well, frankly, both ways. It depends on what you Google. Renatus success stories, bam, hundreds of them, thousands of them maybe. Renatus scam, dozens of them, maybe. I wouldn't guess hundreds of them, but dozens of them probably. Depends on what they Google. And I've had it go both ways, actually. In fact, I had one gentleman purchase that said, he's like, oh yeah, I did all the Googling. And I was just like, oh boy, here we go. And he goes, oh, I did all the Googling, but I noticed that most of the people that had negative stuff sounded like they were just, wishy-washy, didn't know what they, didn't put any work into it. In fact, I just talked to somebody a week ago today, actually. And Renatus came up. This is a very successful investor, and Renatus came up, and he goes, oh, Renatus, like, oh man, they just big scam, like really successful guy. And in fact, he's he's not quite an attorney, but basically, I hired this guy actually to help me with some of my real estate deals. And Renatus came up, and he's and I was just like, it's funny because I did not flinch one bit. It was like water off a duck's back. And I was like, oh, really? Like, that's interesting that you think that. I actually bought Renatus 5 years ago, and Renatus is the only reason that I have been able to do these 100 real estate deals, right? In fact, before Renatus, I didn't even know what a realtor was. And it was so interesting because he just like, he's sitting here like, pouncing almost on Renatus. And then I bust that out. That's a true story. The cool thing about stories is nobody can argue with the story, right? And so And so when I bust that out and say, oh, yeah, dude, Renatus is the only reason I'm sitting in front of you right now. They taught me everything that I know about real estate. Between the education and the community, I would not be here. Absolutely would not be here. I didn't even know what a realtor was. I couldn't, like Keely said, I could not even communicate with humans. I was better at talking to cows than I was humans. And so, you know, should not have had success. So, but for Lara's purpose, go ahead.
Daine, I just want to mention a lot of those negative stuff. Those are also from competitors. So just you know, if you look
wherever
up,
they found
some
that.
of those, yeah.
If it's on Bigger Pockets, guess what?
Yeah.
Bigger Pockets is what, Fortune Builders, I think it is. So of course, Bigger Pockets doesn't like us because Bigger Pockets sells their own stuff. And so, yeah, but they won't tell you that. You know, they try to make Bigger Pockets like this third party, its own thing, but really it does lead to their own educational stuff that's not as good as Renatus. But anyway, Lara, let's help you. So when that happens, I try to go, and I told Bill this when we chatted last week, so I'm not sure if this made it down to you as well and your people, but typically what I like to do is try to apologize. You know, again, pattern interrupt. What are they expecting you to do versus, so what are they expecting you to do versus what you actually do in this moment? It can make a difference. Now, it is hard to, I'm gonna say that right now, it is hard to recover when somebody has like emotionally made a decision like that. Like, oh, I did all my research, looks like Renatus is, you know, it's hard to recover. Doesn't always happen. And so what I try to do is just create some closure that I'm okay with, right? Instead of them just believing that in their mind, I try to just bump Renatus up a little bit in their mind so that there's not like a bad taste. And so typically what I'll do is say, like, oh my, you know, I'll be surprised. Oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? Like this doesn't happen to me very often, right? Now, I feel bad, Lara, that you say this happened to you 3 times and you've only been doing this for a few weeks. That's a little more than I've ever experienced in a 3-week period. But I know you're talking to a lot of people. And so it could also be the pool that you're fishing in. That's one thing I have noticed. Like if I'm fishing in, you know, talking to people who have either bought other programs or they are inside of another program or inside of another group, then I'll see more of that kind of stuff because they're already kind of like a part of thing, and you're making them feel like you're trying to say, oh, jump ship and be a part of my thing. And so that it's easier to create those kind of responses in that scenario. But sorry, let me get to the point. My pattern interrupt is usually like, oh my gosh, it sounds like I need to apologize. Right? Most people are not expecting this. Sounds like I need to apologize, right? This, you know, I actually haven't had this happen to me. And you can say this, you know, I actually haven't had this happen to me. You know, I'll say it to all 3 of them at the same time. I actually haven't had this happen to me before where somebody said that. And so it sounds like I probably need to apologize because either I said something or you know, you Googled something that either wasn't, you know, either I said something was true or you Googled something and found something that wasn't true. And even if it was true, I would guess it's not the type of person that you are. But regardless, is there something that I need to apologize for that created, you know, maybe a different expectation in your mind? And I've noticed that when I come off like that, people will respond. And I'll get down to the real answer of what might be going on. You know, basically it will help them engage in conversation. Now, in that moment, if they start texting you back, don't text them back, call them. talk to them on the phone. They need to hear the emotion, right? They need to hear, and Laura, where you're new, this is going to be training grounds, but they don't not only need to hear the emotion, but they need to hear like the rock, kind of like this gentleman that I stopped him in his tracks when he had negative things to say about Renatus. And I did not flinch one bit. I did not get emotionally raised, if you will. I was basically just like, oh, weird. Renatus is like the best thing since sliced bread. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. You know, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you, handing you a $5,000 check to help me with some of these real estate deals if it wasn't for Renatus. And he's just like, I stand corrected, right? And so this is good that you're going through this earlier on, Laura, and anybody else that has experienced this, because you know we all will and we all do. This is good that you're going through this early, because it is going to, well, it's going to do one thing. Either it's going to lower your emotional excitement and your mojo, or it's going to cause you to build that thicker skin, right? And people are going to see that, right? Like this gentleman. I've heard it so darn many times now that it's just, like I said, it's water off a duck's back. Doesn't even matter to me. Like if anybody ever tells me that they have negative feelings towards Renatus, it's almost as if, let me give an example here. Let's say we're going out to eat and I say, oh, I like Vietnamese food. And you're like, oh, I actually like Chinese food better. Okay, fine, right? No offense. Like there's no reason for me to get emotionally elevated because somebody says, hey, I like Chinese food versus I like Vietnamese food, American food, or whatever. That's just what they like, right? And so they have negative things about Renatus. It's like, you probably didn't really taste it, but that's up to you.
Thanks, Daine. I appreciate that. I'm just going to jump in and also just mention that all these people were actually cold as well, like cold leads from a Facebook group. It's not like I actually knew them or they were warm. So it's you know, so some of them just didn't want to get back on the phone. But I actually some of the people that have said some comments in here, you know, and what you've just said, it's funny because I did get a bit thicker skin from it. Obviously I was new at it and you know, a bit green behind the ears with it, you know, and everything, because I'm just so excited because I love Renatus and I see the amazing things you can do with it. But the people that reacted that way, if they didn't want to get back on the phone, I simply just, you know, tried to get them back on the phone. But when they just stopped replying, I was like, all right, well, you get thicker skin. And actually, I applied this to my other business with some clients, and this was over quite a lot of money. And it actually worked. So it does work. I know that. I just want to clarify that a lot of these people I'm talking to, in fact, pretty much all of them, are cold leads. So it's a little bit more difficult when you haven't got a relationship with them for them to then read Renatus reviews like that and then trust you. So that's just where I was coming from. It can be a little tricky. I guess it's a numbers game as well.
Yeah. Yes. And I would maybe guess that because I've you know, this year I've experienced some crazy rejection that I have not experienced before from very qualified people even. And so that's why I put this little Band-Aid on that system to say, all right, before I go in for the kill, or in other words, the order, they need to have more experience with us. Because I don't know what it is in the air right now. I mean, I think some of us know, but whatever. I don't know what is in the air right now, but people are more skeptical. They're more, you know, emotionally on edge. I mean, just, okay. There's a divide going on in the world right now, and it's crazy. Like there's no middle ground, it seems like.
Would you suggest
crazy negative or crazy positive? But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to jump in, Daine. Would you suggest not, because of this, like the whole skepticism and everything going on right now, and people being a bit more nervous, I guess, with money or whatever, would you suggest that perhaps we don't send the intro video once we've spoken to them first? Because I mean, that's what I have been doing, but maybe instead of sending the intro video, do you think maybe we should invite them to like a property tour or I don't know, something else before we then send the intro video?
I forgot to mention that. I did forget to mention that. And so sometimes it has been way more effective, and this is actually why Ryan Black is doing this. Sometimes it's more effective to take this little house tour, because in this house tour, they do not talk about price. They do not talk about Renatus, right? It's basically like, hey, come check out the, if anybody's ever been to these house tours on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Wednesdays English, Thursdays Spanish, they don't talk about Renatus. They talk about the deal. They talk about stories. They talk about testimonials, right? So we get this captive audience to be like, oh yeah, here's what you could do. Like, check out this deal. Here's how we funded it. Here's how we, found it. Here's how we structured it. Here's how we're making our money, and everybody else is making their money in this deal. And they never talk about, like, they leave them so excited, right? And if you stick this right here in between this intro, then all of a sudden in their eyes, it's like, man, these guys are awesome. Because in their mind, I know what they're thinking is, all of a sudden they're like, man, the first time I met them, they weren't trying to sell me something. Like, what else do they have, right? And so then what I've seen a lot more success happen, this is the second Band-Aid, I should say, is take that house tour, whether it's a recording or whether it's the live,